you weren't able to join us last week for our class, then we're going to do some geode pouring, which is a huge trend. Geodes are everywhere. They come in such beautiful colors and shapes and sizes. So we're going to actually pour ours. And the most fun part about this is, I mean, pouring is amazing and it's relaxing and it's fun and you get to get messy and create these beautiful works of art. But we're going to actually teach you how to make this rock crystals using rock salt. So that's really fun. And there's 1,000 different things, so many different things that you can do with this rock salt. So we'll let everybody get in and get settled. Again, we're going to be teaching geode paint pouring. We'll go over some basics. Make sure you have all your supplies if you're crafting along. And also we have John here in the office with us. He's part of our team and he's going to be answering questions. So that's something we love. If you're watching live and crafting along or just watching to get inspiration, please ask questions, comments. He will relay them to me and I'll try to answer them live, or he will chat them. And you know, if you just want to type a question, he'll respond to you right away. So really excited to be able to get to interact with everybody. We love that part. We are so excited to be partnering with Michaels on this and honored that they have asked us to teach these classes. We have a whole series. We are teaching a number of different pouring classes. So I know Michaels will have those up on their website, if not already very soon. We have a couple of different pouring techniques left that we're going to be teaching as part of the series. So again, today we're doing geode pouring. We're still going to do beach pours, rainbow pours, and a galaxy pour. So a lot of fun things coming up the next couple weeks. So John, if you want to say hi and tell everybody about a giveaway that we're actually going to be doing, and then I'll get started crafting.
Sure, absolutely. Well, welcome everybody. We appreciate you joining the class. Again, my name is John. I'm from Plaid Crafts, and we're excited to be part of this Michaels Community Classroom and these series of classes. So one of the things that we are doing is we are going to be giving we're going to be doing a random drawing from all the people who comment during the live stream. So get into your chat and ask us questions, and we will do our best to answer as we're going. But we're going to select a random winner from among the chat, and you will win a Plaid gift basket of great Plaid products. So if you don't know what Plaid makes, we've got FolkArt Paint and Apple Barrel and Mod Podge and all kinds of just amazing Plaid products that we will be giving away to a winner.
Okay, great. So again, if you're just joining us, we are teaching geode paint pouring. So we are going to teach you how to do this type of pour. And then we're going to get started by teaching how to create this rock salt crystals, which is so fun. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to set this aside and, you know, bear with me. I have a lot of things on this tiny little table and where we can get the camera. So there's, oh, I'll need that again. I'll just throw it back here. So we've got a lot of things going on here. But to start, we are going to be creating this rock salt crystals. So this takes your geode pour up a notch. It just adds so much sparkle and 3D and dimension. And this, again, I'm going to walk you through this, but this is what we're going to be making. You can see I just have a ton on a bowl here. And they actually are crystals that you're making. And this is great. Not only can you add it to your pourings on your canvases, but you can make jewelry out of it. So you could do a ring, you could do a necklace, earrings, you can embellish jars. There's endless possibilities with this. And it's so fun. So I hope you can see all the different colors that we made. Again, we're using rock salt, Mod Podge, and glitter. And those are the 3 ingredients to make these. We have this awesome box here too. And this is, you guys can see, I'll just get a little peek in the corner here. These are rock salt crystals we have been making for over a year, and we just store them in here. It's kind of unorganized. I've been cooking through it. So, but just beautiful rock salt crystals that we're making. So to get started, I use a lot, you'll notice when pouring, we just use these inexpensive baking pans. This is like a disposable cookie sheet. You can use a pan. And then parchment paper is great to lay your rock salt on when you're done and you're letting it dry because it doesn't stick and it peels up. Also a silicone mat. So if you have a silicone placemat or baking sheet, that also works really great. So I have that ready to go. Then we're going to be using ice cream salt, so rock salt. So get it at your grocery store, Amazon, Walmart, Target. It's a great time of year to get this also because summer, and this is just pure rock salt, as you can see here. So we're gonna use it right out of the box. Nothing special about it, but we're gonna make it into some magic. So we have our rock salt. And I've already gone ahead and poured some in a cup just so it's easier for everybody to see. So rock salt, and then we're gonna be using Mod Podge Gloss. So you wanna use gloss for this because it keeps it really shiny and it adds just a little bit more shine to the rock salt and the glitter that we're gonna be adding. So Mod Podge Gloss, and then we're gonna need glitter. And you can use, we wanna use fine glitter, but you can use any color you want. So I just have a number of glitters here that I pulled. Again, we're gonna be using gold when we do our pouring project, but use what you have. This is the time, get your crafts out, get your supplies. All this is available at Michael's. I think everything except the rock salt, but you can get all these products and it's in your instruction list. So your Mod Podge Gloss, get your glitters. That's really what you need to get started. I also have a pack. This is a fun just pack of Creatology glitter. So we recommend using fine glitter to make the rock salt, but you can sprinkle some like coarser glitter on top of the rock salt, and it just adds like some different dimensions you can see. So this was a light blue, and we just added some gold chunky glitter on top. So that's a fun way to embellish even the rock salt. And glitters come in so many different fun shapes and sizes right now. So that's a fun thing to do. Okay, so, and you can see here is a pan that we made last night. It's almost like you're baking cookies. So we made this rock salt. We just let it dry overnight. It's overnight and it'll be completely dry. If you have a thicker piece, you might want to flip it over because you want to get some air and let the Mod Podge dry, but typically it's overnight and this will dry. Okay, so I'm going to take just a plastic cup. I'm also going to be using a lot of plastic cups and a plastic spoon. Let's see, make sure everybody can see that. So what you want to do is you want to take your Mod Podge Gloss, and we're going to do 1 spoonful of gloss right into our cup. I'm just going to leave that off. And then we're going to pick our glitter. So I'm going to do gold since that's what we're using on our project, and I can do another batch. We can do another color. So you want to take your gold glitter, and then I'm just going to use the same spoon for this since it's already wet. And you want to do a spoonful of glitter. You don't have to be very precise. That's about a spoonful of glitter. And you want to mix your glitter and your Mod Podge. So that's really the most important thing, that you want to mix the Mod Podge and glitter first. You don't want to throw your rock salt in there. You want to make sure that the glitter is really distributed evenly through the Mod Podge. So you want to give that a good stir. Okay, then I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to take another spoon. And I'm going to go right into my rock salt. Again, this is just ice cream rock salt right out of the box. Get at your grocery store. And we're going to do 5 spoonfuls of rock salt right into the cup where we mix the fine glitter and the Mod Podge. I have to be quiet so I can count. So 4, so you want to do 5 spoonfuls. And now you want to go ahead and you want to just take and you want to mix that together. And what you want to do is you really want to make sure you're coating all your rock salt. So you want to just really scoop up under there and make sure none of the rock salt is stuck to the bottom. And you want to just get it really fully covered. And this is a great thing. Like I said, you can make so many beautiful projects with this rock salt, but it's also great for the kids to get involved. My son loves to do this. You just lay out a big sheet, baking sheet and parchment paper and let them go to town with their different glitters. They can make different color combinations. We did a live a few weeks ago. It was really great because of all the rainbows that we're seeing. As a sign of hope, we did a ton of rainbow rock salt and pours. So that was a really fun project for the kids to do also.
Hey, Kyra, can I jump in with a couple of questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so a couple of people are wondering if there really is a substitute for rock salt, maybe other kinds of salt or something else.
We have only used rock salt. So this recipe calls for rock salt.
Yeah, and then just go over for people at the beginning real quick what the mix was with how much glitter, how much Mod Podge, and then the salt.
Sure, so we're using Mod Podge Gloss, and I just use a plastic spoon to measure, so just a disposable spoon. So I do 1 spoonful of the Mod Podge Gloss, 1 spoonful of your fine glitter, and fine glitter works best. You could use a coarser glitter, but really to get it into mix it with the Mod Podge, the fine works best. So 1 spoonful Mod Podge, 1 spoonful of glitter, and then 5 spoonfuls of rock salt. And you want to make sure you put your Mod Podge and your glitter in first and mix that, and then add your rock salt to coat it. So, and this is what you're gonna, does that help everybody? That's what you're gonna get. So Mod Podge, glitter, mix them together just like baking, and then you add your 5 spoonfuls of rock salt in. And you wanna just really make sure that that rock salt is coated. And the great thing, this rock salt, like I said, we've made this rock salt, it's been over a year, like closer to 2 years, and it doesn't deteriorate, so it's not gonna break down. So if you were gonna be playing with different salts, I wouldn't recommend. I would stick with the rock salt because we know that works and it's gonna last and it's not gonna ruin your project. And then, like I said, I just have parchment paper down on my baking sheet, and then you're gonna spoon this out. So you can do, and again, it's like making cookies. You can make big lumps, you can spread it out, and you can do finer pieces. And once this dries, you can go back in, you can see, so say you have this huge piece and it doesn't quite fit, or, oh, I need a smaller piece, or I want it loose. You can just break that apart. So it's, you know, you just pop that right apart and it breaks apart. So you could do a larger pile. Again, if you do like a giant heap, once it dries overnight, I would just take that piece, peel it off your parchment paper, and let air get to the bottom of it just to let that Mod Podge dry, because sometimes it'll trap the moisture, especially with it getting so humid out. So you're just gonna spread that out. And so I'll do it again, just if people are just joining real quick. So we're gonna do our 1 spoonful of Mod Podge Gloss. Okay, big spoon. And let's do, what other color we'll do here? Let's do some blue. So again, we're using just Mod Podge Gloss, fine glitter, and I just use the same spoon. Do a spoonful of glitter. You wanna mix your Mod Podge and your fine glitter together. Make sure it's evenly distributed in the gloss. That's really important that you do that step first. And then, there's a ton of spoons. You can also, Mod Podge washes off with soap and water while it's wet. So you can go ahead and wash your spoons and cups if you don't want to waste a bunch of, you know, cups and spoons. And you want to do 5 spoonfuls of your rock salt. Do 5 of those. And then again, you just want to make sure you coat your rock salt. And it's going to, you know, Mod Podge is white when it comes out of the bottle. It's creamy, but it's going to dry perfectly clear. And all you're going to get is this beautiful sparkle. So you guys can see that. There we go. So this is like a pretty aqua color, and we did it with fine glitter, but then we took a, like a circle glitter, almost like different shapes, and sprinkled it over. And also this beautiful emerald color. So I can hold this. This is just a pretty bowl we had up here so we can see. So you can see, I think that's a better shot of how sparkly this is. So the Mod Podge really dries completely clear, and you just see the crystals of the rock salt and the glitter. We've done neon. You could do glow in the dark. A lot of fun things. So you want to coat your rock salt. So again, we're all mixed, chunky, and then you want to just lay it out on your pan. And then another thing you can do is you could glue this on. So I'll show you the canvases we're going to be attaching this to, the pours. Since the rock salt is dry, we're going to be using Mod Podge as an adhesive, since it is a glue and a sealer. But if you would lay this down on your canvas when it was wet, it would stick right to the canvas, and you wouldn't even would not have to add additional Mod Podge. Since this is made of Mod Podge, it would act as a glue also right on your canvas. And then you just let it all dry. And again, there you go. So if you're just joining us, we've made this awesome rock salt with Mod Podge and glitter. Who knew? And again, there's so many things you can do with this. You could, I mean, even just putting it in a bowl or a mason jar, or attaching it to the front of a mason jar. You could make jewelry. Like, that's a great way to do some fun geode. You could do a bracelet, you could do earrings, a necklace. So there's so many different things you can do with this. Get the kids involved. It's really fun. Does anybody have any questions before I move on from the rock salt? We can always go back.
So, Kyra, once you've let it dry, first of all, how long would you allow it to dry?
Yep, so I say overnight, 24 hours. So if I made this now, I'd come back tomorrow morning and it would be dry. But again, if you have larger pieces, so we poured this last night, larger pieces, I would just flip them over and make sure that the underneath is dry, because sometimes the moisture will get trapped. And you just want to flip that over and let it dry to get some air.
Great. And then once it's dry, does the glitter come off your hands, on your hands?
It's not really. Any glitter that's on me is from pouring it. So you can see, here's a green, like it's not coming off. Like it's in there. The Mod Podge glues and seals it all to the rock salt. So it's no mess once you get it made. When you're making it, you're gonna get glitter, but once you're done and it's dry, it's not coming off. And again, you could break it apart if you wanted smaller pieces, mix it together. You could do a couple different glitters together and make a batch. So you could do silver and gold, or for holidays, you could do something fun with orange and black. So there's a ton of different things you can do. And like I mentioned, once it's wet and it hasn't dried yet, you could even take, so I've got, I'm so afraid to open these and spill them everywhere. But you could take, and I'll do this really pretty aqua color just so everybody can see it on camera. So this is just a pack. Since we used fine glitter to make the rock salt, this is a more coarse glitter, and you can sprinkle it right over. Ooh. And then it's gonna dry on top. Like for example, we did this pretty blue and gold. You can see it just adds a little detail and dimension. So that's a fun thing. You can go back in and add extra color and sparkle to your rock salt when you're done. So let that dry, and we're gonna go back to showing you how to add that. Like I said, you could put it on your surface or your canvas while it's wet, and since it's made with Mod Podge, it's gonna glue right to your surface unless you have it on a non-stick like parchment paper or silicone mat. And then if your canvas is dry already and we wanted to go and add these that we've already pre-made, we're just gonna use Mod Podge as a glue to attach them right to the pour. So now, like I said, there's a lot of mess here. So let me move some stuff out of the way. Hope everybody is enjoying us and crafting along or getting inspiration. Pouring is such a big trend, and this geode is an amazing thing. And you know, it's just a really fun activity. You're making art. You could go ahead and make a bunch of this and save it for later for crafting. It's just a really great thing to have, like throw, you know, again, jewelry, embellish other pieces of art that you have or crafts that you have. It's a really fun thing to do. Okay, so we are gonna start our pouring. I'm gonna show you guys, where's my green canvas? So we're gonna pour this geode. So we're using our our FolkArt pouring medium. So FolkArt has two different pouring mediums available at Michael's. So we have our pre-mixed pouring paint. Can everybody see that? So this comes in a variety of colors that have already been picked for you, and you don't need to do anything. This basically already has the pouring medium and the paint in the same bottle. So you can directly pour right onto your canvas and marble and swirl with it. And like I said, we've got a ton of beautiful colors. But we also make a FolkArt pouring medium, and it comes in this 16 ounce jar. And what's so great about this is that you can actually personalize and make your own color of pouring paint. So we're going to do our own color palette. I'm going to show you how to mix it. It's very easy. A little bit goes a long way. It's about a 1-to-1 paint ratio when we mix it. And it's so great. Like I said, you can pick your own color palette. So we're going to do this geode, and you know, in the premix, there may be only 1 or 2 greens, but what's so great is you can pick any of our FolkArt paints and mix with the pouring medium. It also is really great with specialties, so metallics, glitters, any of that you can mix with the pouring medium and pour with it, which is really fun. So we're gonna get started unless anybody has any questions. So this is our inspiration for our geode.
Nope, we just want to clarify one more time for folks, because there are a couple of people are chatting about it. So you can buy pre-mixed pouring paint, which already has the paint and medium together, or you can buy the pouring medium and then use your favorite acrylic paint like FolkArt to mix any color you would like.
Right, absolutely. So we did a video that we poured, and you do the same techniques. This is just already mixed for you. So right out of the bottle, you're going to be able to pour with it. This, you're able to make your own colors and your own amount. You know, if you want just a little bit of blue or a lot of pink, you can absolutely do this with the FolkArt pouring medium, which makes it so great to have on hand. So I just wanted to show everybody the pre-mix, but we're using the pouring medium today. So I'm gonna grab my canvas. I'm gonna move my rock salt to later. All right, so I've got a big old canvas. This is gonna make a giant mess. Before I get started, I'll show you guys a couple other, this is another geo project that we did. So again, poured, we made our rock salt, and then on this one, we even added glitterific. So FolkArt makes the most glittery glitter paint there is. It is FolkArt Glitterific, comes in a variety of colors, and we actually added that right below the rock salt. So that's a fun, and we can do that on one of the canvases once we're done pouring, but just another way to create a geode, which is really fun and exciting. We did a round one, so this is that green color that we're gonna pour in a minute here, and then we added our rock salt. We even have a little baby guy right here, so with some leftover paint we did. So fun, like the pinks and the purples and then the pop of gold. So there's so many things you can do. You can see behind me too. This was done with iridescent glitter. So we poured this huge geode, and then right in the center we put the beautiful like crystal, super clear and iridescent and shiny. So that was just rock salt we glued right on top of that pour. Okay, so I have my canvas, and we're gonna talk about pouring medium. So we're using FolkArt pouring medium and our FolkArt paint. And we are doing a color palette. We're doing a green geode. So we're using Hunter Green, Minted Aqua, Clover, and Green. So we're gonna do 4 different colors in this pour. And so typically when we do a pour, we like to stick to about 4, no more than 6 colors. We tend to find just you get a better, cleaner pour. It almost begins to get too much if you're adding too many colors. So you just want to keep that in mind when you're thinking about your color palette. So if I'm doing, greens, like 4 is a really safe number. Also, it helps if you keep your color family. So, do cools together or warms together, or complementary together. It just helps with your pour create like a really beautiful palette. And also, adding white is a great way if you have a lot of like colors that are on the same family, the same hues. Adding some white will break that up. And also you can add black, but remember, black or any dark color, a little bit goes a long way. So a little bit of black is gonna overpower, so you can always go back and add. So you don't wanna just like dump a ton of black in or put a ton of black on your canvas because it'll kill that color. And the pouring medium, what's so important about this is that if you just used your paints and put them in a cup and poured, or put them on your canvas and tried to swirl them, it's gonna get muddy no matter what regular paint you use. It's gonna blend together. And even when you start, if it looks okay, once that dries, it's gonna mix together and you're just gonna get a brown blob. So this pouring medium is formulated so it turns your acrylic paints into a pouring paint that actually glides across the surface, and it doesn't allow the paints to mix. So it keeps them separate. So they actually like swirl and intertwine, but it doesn't mix. So it's gonna keep your colors like true to color. So if we had done this, you wouldn't get this variation of the different greens. It just would have been just like one giant green blob when we were done. So the pouring paint, or the pouring medium, is very important. So for our cups, I'm gonna grab 4 different cups here. And I'm just using, again, plastic disposable cups. And we're gonna need a lot of paint for this guy. Also, like our larger 8-ounce or our larger 16-ounce paints are great for this, but I just have our 2-ounce paints. So I'm going to fill this cup with this paint. Just pop the lid off there. You can see how thick it is, and you'll see the difference. If you guys can see that, you'll really see the difference once we mix the pouring medium in, because it thins out the paint, and that's what allows it to glide across the canvas. Okay, so I've got my Hunter Green. You want to make it about even, so just kind of eyeballing that. And you'll get a feel once you start mixing these things, like, oh, that's a good texture, this worked last time. Test it out and play with it. I wouldn't go directly onto, like, say you bought a brand new canvas. I would play around with it and test it with, some other paints, or make sure your color combo is what you want, or how much of each color. That's really important too. Like I said, if you're doing a dirty pour and layering it, You want to make sure that you don't put a ton of dark in or, you know, too much white. You want to have a nice range and mixture of all your colors.
And Kyra, do you need to prep the canvas? Some people are asking that.
Nope, we do not need to prep the canvas. And you can pour on canvas, on wood, on canvas board. You know, you can pour on a lot of different surfaces. So this is just right out of the packaging. Okay, so I am.
Someone's asking what to do with the leftover paint, and I know that you're going to get to that probably.
I am. I have a really fun trick to show you guys. Not even a trick, a really just fun technique when we're done with all your leftover paint that you poured. So we're not going to waste it.
And I do want to remind everyone, because a lot of folks have just joined since, you know, from the beginning, we are doing a drawing today for a gift basket of Plaid products. So we encourage you to join the chat, and we're going to be selecting a random winner from among the people who are asking questions, and give you a Plaid gift basket. So looking forward to that. We will announce the winner here at the end of the session, so stay tuned for it.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so I just want to make sure I have enough paint here. I'm just going to get the last bit out. So also, you don't need to shake your pouring medium. I just like to give it a little stir when it's sitting in the bottle. So just give it a little twirl. There's nothing, it doesn't really settle or anything, so don't worry about that. So I'm just getting every little last bit of paint out of here. So I have enough that it covers the canvas. Okay, so I'm going to take our pouring medium. Again, this is 16 ounces, and you know, a little bit goes a long way. It's very thin. You'll see when it comes out of the bottle. And you're going to do about 1-to-1 ratio. So if you can see, we've got our green here. So I'm going to pour directly into this cup. So do about 1-to-1 ratio. And I'll show you the texture when I start to stir it. So I'm going to go ahead and pour. And again, this product, it's going to come out white and milky, but it's not going to change the color of your paint. It's going to mix in, and it will be as pure as it came out of the bottle. So don't worry about, oh, I have a dark green, it's going to go light. It's going to be the same color that came out of your bottle. So now I'm going to take spoons, and I'm just going to start to mix, and you can see how thick that paint is. So you really want to get it good and mixed and stirred in there. And so we are mixing 1-to-1 our FolkArt paint and our pouring medium. I hope everybody can see that. So we are just mixing away. This part takes the longest when we get to the fun part. So again, it pours out of the bottle white and creamy, but it's going to blend right into that paint and mix in, and you're not even going to be able to tell the difference in the color.
And you've used about a full 2-ounce bottle of paint, is that right, Kyra, in each of these cups?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Because you have a large canvas.
Just about as much as I could get out. And again, once you've done this a couple times, you'll get a feel for what the consistency should be. You know, sometimes like this one's a little runny. I'm going to go back in and add a little bit more paint or a little bit more pouring medium. So you can see, and you really want to mix it well too. You don't want any lumps or chunks. So it does take a minute, because if it's lumpy and then you pour it, you're going to have lumps on your canvas. So you want it to be really smooth. So you just have to be patient. It's, you know, hard on camera, but you can see, you guys can see that. So that's the consistency. It's almost like syrup. Jesse said when we were pointing at it, it's like syrup coming off of the spoon. So that's what it should look like. So again, just good stirs, make sure there's no lumps. It's a little runny, but you can always go back and add also. So add a little bit more pouring medium, a little more paint if it's, you know, thick or too runny. And again, that's why you want to practice also. So just mixing. Any other questions? Are people pouring along with us, or are we just getting?
And people have started asking about bubbles. What happens when you get bubbles in the painting after you've poured, and do you need to do anything about it?
Nope, don't worry about the bubbles. You're gonna get bubbles. That's why I don't shake it, because you're just creating more, but they're gonna go away when you pour and it's not. I've never had bubbles once I've poured on my canvas. It's not an issue. So you can see I have bubbles here, but once it pours, it's all gonna level and even out. So that's perfect consistency. If you guys can see that.
And everyone, keep in mind that these classes are available after the session is over on Michael's website on demand. So I know a lot of you are asking questions and can I go back and see this again? So rest assured you can go back and catch up if you miss any of these steps.
Yeah. All right, you guys, just bear with me. I'm just on my last one. I'm mixing. I want to make sure it's a good pour. And so we're also going to add some treasure gold into it at the end, and I'll show you. You can see we're going to go back and accent with treasure gold on here.
People are asking what sorts of things they could pour on besides canvas also.
So you could pour on paper mache, on wood. I'm trying to think what we have back here. I mean, we do a lot on canvas. You could pour on, so this is a really fun thing. We poured, and I mean, it's not Halloween, but pour on your pumpkin, like your funkin, your fake pumpkin. So we've poured on that for Halloween. That's a really fun thing to do for the holidays. You can pour on mason jars. You can pour on rocks. You know, decorating rocks is a really big trend. So you could pour right on your rock. You could use an outdoor paint with your pouring medium or a multi-surface. And you can also hit it with a sealer so it doesn't come off. So a ton of different things we can pour on. Like terracotta flower pots we've done before. We've poured on that. And I have a trick, you know, round objects are harder to pour on because, you know, you either need to like have it vertical and spin it so the paint doesn't run off, but we have a trick that I'm going to show you that uses your leftover paint, how to pour on a round surface at the end.
And just last question, because I know there are a few people who are asking about cells and other people are confused as to what a cell is in the pouring world. So maybe you could explain a little bit about adding silicone or whatever it is that makes that.
Sure. Yep, so cells are almost like, funny we were talking about bubbles, but cells are almost like rings or bubbles that you intentionally put into your pour on your canvas. And a lot of people use silicone or a like a torch, like a lighter. They use heat to create that cell. We don't make that product in the FolkArt line, so we don't typically show it, but our FolkArt product will work with that if you want to get more in-depth techniques. So if you go to Pinterest, you can add silicone or again, heat to create those really beautiful cells. But it works with the FolkArt pouring medium or the pre-mixed. You can create those if you want to get into that. So everybody's worried about taking off their bubbles and then people are putting them back on. Okay, so everybody can see the consistency. So this is 1-to-1. So our FolkArt paint, our FolkArt pouring medium, and we've done a really good job of mixing it, making sure there's no lumps. So we could do a direct pour, and a direct pour is where you have your colors with your pouring medium, and then you pour directly onto the canvas, and then you swirl it. But we're gonna do a dirty pour for this technique. So a dirty pour is when you take another cup, and you layer your paints, and then you put your cup full of paint on your canvas, and whoop, like this, and then you turn it upside down and you let the paint out. So all your layers of color are going to flood the canvas, and then you're gonna do your swirling. So again, a direct pour is where you would just take this paint and you would pour it directly on your canvas and then swirl. And a dirty pour is where you mix your paints, you layer them, and you dump them all out at once. So we're gonna do a dirty pour for this. And remember also that the paint that you put in the bottom is going to come out on the top when you dump it. So it's a reverse. And you wanna really layer. I like to get a lot of even layers. So I'll do a little bit of dark, and a little bit of dark goes a long way, don't forget. So do dark. So I'm just gonna layer these all the way up. And it's gonna look like it's mixing into the cup, but it's not. It's going to stay separated when you pour it. So don't worry if you're like, oh, this just looks regular green now and you can't even see the aqua. like it's going to basically disappear in there, but it's going to come back when you tip it over and pour it out. So I'm going to just keep layering. And the great thing about this is every pour is going to be different. So, you know, my geode is going to look different than the one we did last week, or, you know, everybody's is going to look different. So we're just going to keep layering till I'm out of paint. I want to make sure this is a really large canvas, so I want to make sure I have enough paint also. Just keep layering.
The anticipation, Kyra, you're killing us.
I know. It's just me talking, mixing paint today. But thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope we're inspiring you. If you're not, you know, crafting along with us, if this is inspiration, like John said, you could go back and watch this video on michaels.com after this. And also we have, last week we did a pouring 101 where we really got into, you know, more information and tips and techniques on pouring. So that's a great video to watch also. You know, get your supplies. If you're not, you know, pouring along right now, do it this weekend, get the kiddos involved. It's a really fun thing to do. You can't mess it up either, which is so great, right? Like once you pick your colors and you do your mixing, like it's just fun to pour. It's such a great activity.
Sure. A lot of people are asking if you're going to use all of your paint for this. Now you have a pretty large canvas.
Use all of my paint because I want to make sure I have enough for you guys, so it's a wow moment. All right, so this is going to get messy. I'm going to stick this over here. Okay, so also a little tip, so I'm going to set that aside for a minute. And I don't stir this. So I just poured this paint and layered it. You can see all the colors in there, so I'm not going to stir it. I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm just going to set it to the side. So I just have my workspace. Also, you want to make sure that you cover your workspace. So this is going to wash off your hands with soap and water. It's non-toxic, but you want to make sure that your workspace is covered. So I have poster board. You can use parchment paper, garbage bags. Any of that is great to work on. Also, anything that you could, if you want to do multiple pours or move when this is wet, anything that you could actually pick up and just move, you know, because moving your canvas like this when it's wet, you're going to get paint everywhere. So, and it's going to take, you know, 24 hours overnight to dry. So a little tip is we use thumbtacks to stick in the back of our canvas, and that takes the canvas, it lifts it off of the surface we're pouring on and allows the paint to run underneath, because otherwise it's going to get stuck and all the paint's going to dry under the canvas and get yucky. So we're just using regular old thumbtacks, sticking them in the back. And if you're doing a smaller canvas, you know, these disposable baking pans that I was showing you, that's a great thing to pour in because it just contains everything. You can let it dry, and when it's dry, you just pop it out of there. So that's just thumbtacks. Okay, so again, here is all my green, and we're doing a dirty pour, so I've layered all my colors. Okay, here's the magic. We're gonna take our canvas, we're gonna turn it upside down, right over our cup. I'm gonna put it about in the center. And you could do this with multiple cups, or you could do one dirty pour and go back in and add paint to it. But we're just gonna do one pour. And now I'm gonna hold my cup on my canvas, and I'm gonna flip to pull your hand out. Also, the thumbtacks help get your hand out under it. It gives you some space. All right, you guys ready? Okay, so now we're just gonna lift it. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna start to swirl it. And this is really, you're gonna see all the different, and I hope you guys can see, it's subtle with the green. You know, we've done some pours where there's a lot of contrast, where there's a black and a white or a navy and white, but this is all just beautiful shades of green. So I hope you guys can see that. So we're just going to let this keep flowing over the canvas. And this is also how you get the sides of your canvas, because it's gonna run right over, so you don't need to worry about painting those. And I'm glad I used all my paint. And remember, the more, it's gonna keep moving. So say you get a spot you like, you know, you can just stop if your canvas is covered. Because it's gonna move and it's gonna change every time you turn it. You wanna just make sure you get all your edges. But like I said before, if you were just using your FolkArt paint, this is just gonna turn into a muddy, muddy green mess. But you can see it's gliding. See that? You can see that sheen? and it is gliding right over the canvas. I want to get that corner right there, and of course it's not going to slide down for me. Okay, so I'm just going to pour a little bit on my corner there so I don't make a mess. So again, you can go back and add also. So you have that, and then what you can do also is you can take, if there's leftover to create, you know, you can go back in and add and really create that geode or that arch shape with any of your leftover paint. Okay, so that is our geode pour. And then we're going to take, and I just have baby wipes I'm using. That's like a great, you know, thing just to have on hand. You can wear gloves. I know gloves are a little bit harder to get right now, so gloves are great if you don't want to get messy or mess up your nails, but you know, this all washes right off with soap and water. So I'm gonna use my bare hands, and baby wipes are your best friend, you know? So we have our beautiful green pour, so you can see. And see how different. So now we're gonna go back in and we're gonna add our Treasure Gold. So Treasure Gold, it came out last year, and it came out a lot of our basic gold colors, and we actually added beautiful jewel tones this year to it. So there's silvers and blues and purples and greens, but we're using just our regular Treasure Gold, and it is the most, so I talked about that most glittery glitter paint, the glitterific that we make. This is the most metallic, metal shiny paint. You can actually see a reflection in it. It is so shiny. So we're going to use this to accent and kind of create a shape of our geo, and that's where we're going to layer in our rock salt, our crystals. So I'm going to pour straight from the bottle. You could pour it in a cup if you want to have a little bit more control, and I can show you guys. So again, this is just a plastic cup, and this is really thick also. Okay, so I'm gonna pour directly onto my canvas. I'm not adding pouring medium, and you know, because you know, if you want to get a little bit more control, you could kind of bend your cup. And so, sorry, it's really thick and creamy. There we go. So you're gonna just pour right on top of that. And you could get a brush and move it around, but I'm just pouring right on top of the canvas. And that's going to be our guide when we add our rock salt. So again, the cup just kind of helps, but you can pour directly from the bottle so you don't get, and it's so thick. So there you go. You can just create your arches of your geode. You could do the small, large, but you can see how you're kind of making your pattern. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our rock salt. And so you could use your wet rock salt that you made. So I can show you guys both. So we have, you know, this is a rock salt that we just made. So you could actually just scoop this up, and you could pour it put it directly on the canvas, and that's going to stick. So you could put it right on wet. And again, that paint, when it dries and the Mod Podge in there, it's going to create, you know, it's going to glue it right to the canvas. So when it dries, everything's going to be dry. So that's our gold. Or what you can do is you could, you know, once this is dry, you could take your dry rock salt and use Mod Podge, and you can just attach it right to your canvas. So that's what we did for this. You know, what we could do is we could just take our Mod Podge and add it right to the canvas, and just we follow that arch that we created with the Treasure Gold. So that is our geode pouring. So can does anybody have questions? I'm going to move this and show you guys how you can just glue the rock salt right to a canvas that we have.
Yep, so once again, everyone, you can go back and watch these videos after the fact on Michael's website. So we encourage you to do that. And a lot of folks were asking about how to attach the rock salt. So because it has so much Mod Podge in it to make the actual rock crystals, or the salt crystals, they adhere right to the canvas.
Yep, so you could put them on wet. So say you are doing this all at once. You have your wet rock salt, crystals made, you could even add them to a dry canvas. So the wet ones will go directly onto a dry canvas, and the Mod Podge will use, you know, it is a glue and a sealer all in one. So it'll attach to your canvas. But say you have some extra rock salt, or you do your rock salt one day and you want to go back and add it to your canvas, like maybe you want to let it dry. And, you know, I think it's fun sometimes when it's dry, because then you can really play around with it and position it and get it exactly where you want and not worry about it. So, and this gold's a little bit different than what we have, but that's okay. But you can just use your Mod Podge. Again, it's a glue and sealer, and I had a paintbrush here, but we'll just use a little spoon. Oh, here's a paintbrush. So I'm just going to use a paintbrush or a foam brush. I'm going to use my Mod Podge Gloss, and I'm going to put it right on the canvas. You want to put, again, it's going to dry clear, so you want to put it on there pretty thick. And then you're just going to attach your rock salt right onto your canvas, and that's going to dry. You don't need to put it over top of it or anything. It's going to dry clear, and it's going to be, it's your glue and sealer all in one. So it is going to stick right on there. So again, this is a different color than we used on this original one, but that's okay. And then you could just go ahead and play with it. So I kind of like adding it after, because you get to, you know, exactly what the pour is going to look like. You can position it, you know, you want to add a little more, a little less. I think that's a great way to do it. So that's how you attach the rock salt once it's dry. You get your awesome geode pour. And then you can see, oh, here, I can also show you guys. So, you know, like I said, this geode, we poured, we added our treasure gold, we added our rock salt, and then in this bottom corner, we took our glitterific, FolkArt glitterific, and this is our gold. And again, this is so thick. If you guys can see this, I mean, that is like bubbling up out of there. It is so thick and beautiful and glittery, and we can add that right. I'm just gonna grab a different paintbrush. And we're gonna scoop, it's so thick you actually have to scoop it up, and you can add it right to your canvas. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can add it like right along this outside. So say you wanna just add some different dimension and different texture. So you've got your rock salt, but you could go ahead and add your glitterific just for additional accents or a different color. So if you wanted to put, you know, a blue or a pink or a purple on here, it would be a great way to do it with the glitterific. But you can just add and highlight some of your areas. Like I like to, you know, in the corners, just kind of accent it. So that's another great way you can kind of sparkle up your geode and add some detail to it. So there's that. Does anybody have any questions about the geode or the rock salt? If not, I've got a heck of a mess here, you guys, I told you. But anyway, this all cleans up with soap and water. So, you know, we use a lot of cups here in, you know, the studio or when we're doing these videos, but you can wash these all out and you can reuse them, no problem.
Yeah, so a lot of folks were asking about different things, you know, instead of rock salt, some people were talking about glass beads or different kinds of things. So you certainly could experiment, but we've just found that the rock salt works really well for this particular technique.
Absolutely. Yeah, you could try the glass beads. It's just the rock salt. It really gives it that crystal look. You can, my hands are dirty now, but look, I mean, it really looks like a true rock crystal formation. So that's just rock salt, Mod Podge, and fine glitter. And this is the pink. You know, the silver is really beautiful. Again, this would be great for ornaments for holidays, on gift bags, any of that, you know, a gift box. This is a great embellishment just to have to add to different pieces, even if you're not doing the geode pouring. So the last thing I want to show you, and some people were asking, what do you do with all your leftover paint? Or, you know, what do you waste all this paint, or it's in your pan, or what do you do? So what we do is we create paint skins. So basically it is the leftover. So say you do a pouring and you have your pan, your tray, or your parchment paper. Well, you let that dry and then you peel your paint up and you create a paint skin. And so this is actually creating paint paper. So you can cut it, you can, you know, trace it, outline it, and you could cover things with it. It's like such a fun thing to do. So you're actually creating, it's like almost like a paint, a fruit roll up almost. So it's stretchy and you can just cut it and, you know, you can add it. We've done, like, this is a great way for 3D objects. So this is just a plain white base. We took our paint pourings, different ones that coordinated. We cut triangles, and then we just placed them on this, and they stick right on there. You can even use a little bit of Mod Podge to adhere it and seal it, and it's gonna stick. So this would be really hard to pour because of the angles, and you'd have to like let it dry and hold it. And so this way you can just use a paint skin that comes directly from your pan or your tray, peel it up and cover your object. So this is something really fun and exciting that we do. It works great, like I said, on round objects. So say you want to do a terracotta pot or a mason jar, you can just take your mason jar and you could cover it. Did you guys see that? So just using your paint skin and you're covering things, and you get this great marbled pour look that would be, you know, almost impossible or really hard to do. You would have to keep this rotating or hold it to let it dry. So this is a great alternative. And this way you're not wasting your paint. You can also, so say you have a large object, and we had a lampshade around here a little bit ago. Lindsay's gonna find it. So say you wanted to create like a larger object. So this is a lampshade that we did. I showed this last time. This is a lampshade. And what you could do, so say instead of just using your leftovers, you could intentionally pour, get a large pan or tray, do your paint pouring, do a dirty pour, a direct pour it, let it dry, and then take that out, and then you could wrap a larger object. So that was just a plain inexpensive white lampshade. We poured white metallic, it was white gold and silver, just cut it and then put it right over our lampshade. So any of these, again, this is just some paint boards left from our last class, but you could cut these out just with scissors and X-Acto knife. You could do it on a canvas. Could you hand me that one too real quick? I have so much stuff to show you guys. So this is a great way we did this. Again, we just use a stencil. These are paint skins. We traced them with a stencil and then just use an X-Acto knife or scissors and cut them out. And then you could Mod Podge them right to your canvas. So this is a great way to personalize something. You could do like a coordinating, you know, paint pour. So say you did a pour in all blue, then you could take gold or silver and personalize it by cutting out a shape or letters or word or name and put it right on top of your pour. So you'd have like two different poured effects on your same piece of art, which is really fun. So that's a fun tip or trick that we love to show everybody. And we've done, you know, some great, interesting things with this, but you're creating your own paint paper. And you could save these also. You just want to store them flat between parchment paper. So say you're doing a bunch of pouring, I cannot talk today, a bunch of pouring, let it dry, store them, and then go back and craft with them. So, you know, even great for scrapbooking or, you know, again, for kids that they want to cut it up and use it to create collages. You can create abstracts. This is a great fun thing to have. And then you're not wasting your paint.
So Kyra, the best thing to pour into initially so that you're able to get the skin would be like what, a aluminum pan or a piece of parchment? What do you think?
Yeah, so we use just inexpensive, and you can see there's some left. This is perfect. This is just an inexpensive disposable aluminum pan. And then your paint skin pour, this is just a piece of paint skin poured, pulled right up, and it comes right off. It doesn't stick. And so what we would have is we would pour this whole thing or use the leftovers, let it dry, and just peel it up. So these trays are great if your canvas isn't too large. Usually we're doing large canvases, so we use parchment, but these trays are so great. And you could even use a deeper, thick tray. It works just as well. But let that dry and it's gonna come right up.
Yep, and listen, everyone is very excited about the purple and blue beautiful geode on the wall behind you, straight back. Yes, people want to see that one.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm just going to take it off the wall, right? We're live.
Do it.
Whatever.
Just take it off the wall.
Right? All right, don't judge our holes in our wall. So, again, this is just a geode pour, and this is glitterific, actually. So I showed you guys the glitterific. So this is glitterific paint painted right over the stripes on the geode. So we've got purple, blue, gold, and iridescent. So everybody asked about this last time. So this is just another way you could do, I would do it as a direct pour. So what you would do is you would mix all your colors, and then I would just start pouring. I would do angles or arches. I would just pour and keep pouring, and you would just slightly slide. You could also just paint this on. So say you wanted just to paint your arches with your regular paint, let it dry, and then go back and add your glitterific right on top.
Great.
So yeah, does anybody have any other questions? I'm gonna hold this up, but my rock salt is gonna slide off because it's not dry.
And yes, the Glitterific is available at Michael's also. People are asking about that.
It is the most glittery glitter paint there is. So we used FolkArt pouring medium, our FolkArt paint. Then we also used our FolkArt Glitterific and then our Treasure Gold. So those are great accents to any of your projects, especially all this pouring. It's really fun to have just to make it a little bit different and change it up. And it works well since they're all metallic and shiny. It works so well with all the different colors.
Great.
Yeah.
One more special request. Can you give us a close-up of that round one on the table behind you also?
The big guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People want to know how you did it.
So again, this is actually just a piece of wood that someone in our content studio cut out to make it look like a geode. So it's really big. I mean, look at my hand. It's giant.
Yeah, we're
So
seeing you from the front.
Yeah. Can you guys
Oh yeah,
see
there you go.
better? Okay, there you go. So cut out wood. It's on a stand. And then poured it. So we used gold, pink, blue, white, purple. Did a pour. Again, this is a direct pour. So the way you can usually tell is if the color bands are a little bit wider or they're not as muted and mixed together. So this was poured, dried, edged it with the Treasure Gold, and then this is iridescent rock salt in the middle. So again, it's just the same Mod Podge, the rock salt, the fine glitter, and then added it right to the center.
Great.
So this is big. This is like as tall as I am. It's a big guy.
So I know that some of you are asking about the different techniques like direct pours and so on. So Kyra did a whole class last week on different styles of pouring. So go back and check that class out. It's available on the website. And I know that Michaels can put the link up to where all the classes are. But in the community classroom section where you signed up for these, there are past classes as well.
Yes, and also we will be live on Saturday, so that should be posted also because we're going to be doing 5 different pouring techniques. So we will be here live again on Saturday. Michael's, it should be on michaels.com already. If not, they will have that up soon. But we're going to do 5 different techniques. So we're going to talk more about the direct pour, the dirty pour. We're going to do some really fun different puddle pours and things like that. We're going to get really into the pouring and just do a ton of different fun things. So you'll want to join us on Saturday for that.
Yep. And I
think we need to pick a winner?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
All right, here.
This is the part I'm glad I don't have to do.
All right. You guys can even see me on camera. I'm like closing my eyes and I'm scrolling with my finger. We are going to select Mary Ann Gray.
Yay, so Mary Ann Gray, you're the winner of, we're going to send you product to make all these awesome geode pours.
So Mary Ann, here's the best way to reach us. If you go to Plaid Crafts on our Facebook page and send us a message, you can send us a direct message from our Facebook page and we will reach out to you and get you your prize pack. So that is Plaid Crafts on Facebook. Send us a message.
Yes, so congratulations. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you were inspired, or if you were pouring along that you made some awesome geodes, or you have some great ideas to get your supplies and get crafty later this week or this weekend. Again, we'll be here on Saturday doing more pouring techniques, so you'll want to tune in. And thank you guys again. Have a great rest of the week. Bye.